Hello, thank you for joining me today. You know, diversity, equity, and inclusion, they're hot topics in the modern workplace. And we do a session, a training session around that. And I was sitting with a colleague of mine, a trainer, and we were going through our evaluations about that. And some things really struck me as the comments that people put down. You know, so many aha moments. Complicated topics were broken down into relatable and actionable items. Thank you. They actually said thank you. Awesome workshop, fun, thoughtful, and applicable to the modern workforce. Enjoyed the session, good material and good tools to apply both in work and my personal life. Not what I was expecting. Very informative and thought-provoking. Gail and her colleagues show a true passion for changing the mindsets of all of us to make a better workplace. I could keep going through all of these. We had comments on all of them, but it made me stop and wonder, why are we seeing these type of comments on our evaluations? Because diversity, equity, and inclusion are something that everybody's trying to pull into their workplace right now, but this is not the attitude that we're seeing everywhere. But I really believe that we're getting these results in our workshop because I think that the true issue around diversity, equity, and inclusion is that many people feel preached to. They feel admonished. They put on the defensive when it comes to the subject. You know, I think that we as humans all want to be included and accepted. I don't really believe that most people consciously wish to exclude others. Yet, we've really fallen short on effectively creating a fully diverse, equitable, and inclusive workplace, organizations, cultures, or basically, even environments. You see, according to the Harvard Business Review, 89% of people surveyed said that they had been treated unfairly at work because of somebody else's bias. 89%. You know, this happened to me. When I first began my career, I worked at a community foundation. When I was at that community foundation, I had advanced us in a little over a year what our goals were for 3 years. I had cut down our time to a third of what we thought where it was going to take us to get to where we were. I thought it was a great time to go ask the boss for a raise, right? It was time. I went to my boss, who was part-time. I was the only full-time person. He was the executive director. I was the associate executive director. Basically, let's get real. That meant I did the majority of the work and he got the majority of the credit most of the time. But that was okay. We were doing great things. So I went to him and I talked to him and I said, it's time to to look at a raise. You told me that if we could advance this, that I would be able to move up in this community foundation. And I think it's time that we need to. He sat back and you know what he said to me? Well, don't you receive child support? You see, I was a single mother of 2 children at the time. Wow. We never think about that, but that was his bias. That because I received child support, that somehow affected the work I was doing and how I should be compensated. You know, it really makes me wonder how many great ideas are snuffed out because of exclusion. How many amazing employees leave companies, which is what I did. I ended up leaving the company. You know, how much creativity and problem solving and collaboration have been left on the sidelines because people are shut out or made to feel like they don't belong or are treated with a bias that should not have anything to do with the job they're doing. You know, there's tremendous benefits for embracing diversity, equity, and inclusion in an organization. Forbes reports that inclusive teams make better decisions up to 87% of the time. 87% of the time, better decisions. And they make them twice as fast are you ready for this? With half the number of meetings. Half the number of meetings. Let me repeat that. 87% better decisions in half the amount of time with half the number of meetings. They also say that they deliver about 60% better results. Wow. Then Bain and Company went on to do some research that found out that effective decision-making from inclusive teams says that their decision-making is 95% correlated with financial performance. Let me back this up. A more effective decision-making, half the amount of time to do it, half the number of meetings, better results, and it's 95% correlated with financial performance. Yet I don't believe that diversity is the key. I believe that the key falls in the other two items, equity and inclusion. You see, diversity is the easy part. It's checking the box. But when we talk about inclusive teams, that's when the results happen. I think we are missing the mark. I think we're checking our boxes and we're expecting that box checking to create an inclusive environment. And it doesn't work that way. Just because you have diversity doesn't mean you have equity and inclusion. However, if you have equity and inclusion, you will have diversity on your teams. You see, we're still falling short. That's why this has been an age-old issue. We tend to focus on what the simplest things are and never get to the core root of the problem. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. We'll talk more about diversity and inclusion. But if you want to learn more, please reach out to us. We would love to share with you our groundbreaking work on creating inclusive teams.